Why, yes, I do get all of my accessories from the Halloween section at Walmart. Thank you for asking. Congratulations, everybody. We made it another year. I don't know if that's something to celebrate or not. So anyway, here's some books I read. I have read a lot of forgettable books this month. So I'm cheating, and I'm going to sprinkle in a couple of books that I've read throughout the year. Because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. I'm slurring my words because I'm nervous, not because I'm drunk. Yet. I have 6 books to present to you guys today. Yeah, let's get into it. I'll be listing them in ascending order from books I liked the least to books I liked the most. Here we go. So the first book I have to share with you guys is called Wylding Hall, and it's by Elizabeth Hand. So I was initially interested in reading this book because it is about a rock band, and I am writing a novel about a rock band. Mine is, you know, more of the YA drama genre, but I was interested to see how something like that would work with horror elements to it. It's told in sort of a documentary style. It switches between statements from the different band members. It was very boring, and just as creepy things were about to start, just as it was about to pick up, it just ended. The book just ended. There were a lot of questions that went unanswered. Either that or I am just too stupid to get subtle hints, which is, in all honesty, very likely. Would I recommend this book? No. No, I would not. It's boring, and I honestly completely forgot about the book after I read it. Like, as soon as I finished reading it. I was writing this list, and I had to go back and remind myself of what book it even was. Not a good sign. The next book is called Clown in a Cornfield. It's by Adam Cesare. It's about a murderous clown in a cornfield. There you go. I think this was written for more of like the YA kind of crowd. It seemed like more of like a... It was very reminiscent of like a teen slasher to me. It had that kind of vibe going on. Would I recommend it? Yes, if you're into slasher movies and or killer clowns and you don't mind a very, very easy read. The next book I will be talking about is called Shudder by Melissa Larsen. After Betty's father dies, she decides to leave everything behind to move to New York City, half-heartedly pursuing an acting career. This is the main character. She meets a very handsome and charismatic indie filmmaker named Anthony Marino, and he offers her the lead role in a project he's working on. He's going to take her and a very small crew, basically her friend's boyfriend, and one other actor, to his family's private island for a couple of weeks. While Betty is on that island, she is Lola. She has to remain in character the entire time. Before long, Betty realizes that Anthony has some ulterior motives behind this project of his. It was just fine. You know, it kept my attention well enough, and I wasn't really able to guess what was going to happen next. But that was more so because it was stupid where it ended up going. I felt like the ending really fell flat, for me at least. Anthony's motivation is stupid. The ending is stupid. It's just stupid. Would I recommend it? No, I don't think so. I don't really know who I would recommend this to. I don't know who this was written for. You guys like my fancy dress? I wore it because I totally had somewhere to be for a New Year's party, and not because I just wanted to feel special sitting alone in my home. Anyway, the next book I would like to talk about is called Animal by Munish K. Batra and Keith R.A. DeCandido. So this book follows a small-town cop and an Interpol agent as they try to catch a serial killer that kills people who abuse animals. I had a lot of fun with this one. I'm already like kind of grappling with whether or not to feel sympathy for these people because, you know, I'm a vegetarian and all that lame shit. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. anyway, regardless. The kills were really cool. The killer murders people in the same way that they've hurt the animals, and he travels all around the world to do so. So, for example, the kill that starts out the book is in this small town in California, and he's murdering like the CEO of this meat packing company, and he slaughters him exactly the way that they slaughter the cows, by like hanging him upside down by his feet and like slitting his throat and letting him like bleed out and stuff. It was pretty great. But then just before that, he was in Africa murdering some poachers. So because he's traveling all around the world, he's very difficult to track. The only part I didn't really like was when, and this is sort of a spoiler, I would recommend the book if you want to read it. Go ahead and stop now. I believe this is an Audible exclusive, so do with that information what you will. The only part that I didn't like was the Interpol agent ended up like knowing the killer personally from like years before. Like he recognized a tattoo that the killer had, and he's like, oh wait, I know that person, that's so and so from years back in my past. It all makes sense now. And I thought that was dumb. I don't like when that happens. Just unlikely coincidences. I don't like those in my murder mystery thriller books. Anyway, yeah, I would recommend it. Mostly for the creative kills. Some get pretty gruesome, which is a lot of fun. I listened to it on Audible, and I really liked Nicole Zanzarella's narration. I thought she did a great job with the thousands of different accents she had to pull off. I thought she did a great job with that. Next is a book I'm really excited to talk about. It's called Paperbacks from Hell by Grady Hendrix. I really enjoyed this one. It's basically exploring the history of horror novels from the 70s and 80s. Grady provides several examples of work from certain authors of that decade's popular like subgenres. I'm making a list, as I was making a list like going through listening to this book about all of the books I wanted to try to find, because some of them sound just amazing. So some of the more disturbing and or absolutely bonkers details include, but are not limited to, a spider baby, genital mutilation, insane gynecologists, giant praying mantises, killer crabs being worshipped as gods by animal rights activists, telepathic worm snot, psychic vampires from Hong Kong, comatose people dangling from wires, a pregnant demon woman with black breast milk, genital obsessed killer insects, man eating his own testicles, a possessed woman that sprays blood from her nipples, rectal childbirth, aliens that kill people with spontaneous orgasms, Nazi leprechauns, brain-eating babies that telekinetically explode wombs, a skeleton monkey with a hatchet and an erection. This book also talks about the novel Michelle Remembers. Really quick, I just want to read off the first couple paragraphs from the wiki article for this book because it's bananas. Highly recommend. Michelle Remembers is a discredited 1980 book co-written by Canadian psychiatrist Lauren Pastor with his psychiatric patient and eventual wife, Michelle Smith. A bestseller, Michelle Remembers relied on the discredited practice of recovered memory therapy to make sweeping, lurid claims about satanic ritual abuse involving Smith that contributed to the rise of the satanic ritual abuse moral panic in the 1980s. While the book presents its claims as fact and was extensively marketed on that basis at the time, no evidence was provided. All investigations into the book failed to corroborate any of its claims, with investigators describing its content as being primarily based on elements of popular culture and fiction that were popular at the time when it was written. So, if you've never read this book, Michelle Smith goes off the fucking fucking deep end. So when they were able to draw out those memories, Michelle apparently discovered that when she was 5, her mother gave her to a satanic cult for a ritual called Feast of the Beast. Her memories consist of this giant orgy party, including being raped by snakes, watching her friends being killed, eating human flesh, and being rubbed all over with dead babies. So give that one a looky-loo next time you're in the bookstore. Okay, I wrote in my notes William W. Johnstone's Incestuous Insanity, and I don't know if that's me just talking about the incestuous elements of his book, which there are many, or if that is an actual book title. Probably not, but do with that what you will. And if the name William W. Johnstone sounds familiar to you, it might be because you watched Jenny Nicholson's video on a book he wrote called Trigger Warning. That book is infuriating. It's disgusting and just everything bad that I can think of. So don't read it. Go watch Jenny Nicholson's video on it and have a laugh instead of, ripping your hair out. Would I recommend Paperbacks from Hell? Yes, absolutely. It was a really cool nonfiction book, which I don't read a lot of, honestly. I'm going to have to start picking up more books if they are going to be this entertaining. It was just something that was right up my alley, the horror, the novels. Yeah, that's basically all I like. That's all there is to me, guys. Anyway, I thought it was really interesting. It introduced me to a few new artists and reminded me of some old ones that I hadn't really looked into in a long time. So that was fun. I also really liked that he went into the artists behind the book covers as well. It's not a subject that gets a lot of attention, but it is very fascinating if you're into that sort of thing. So if you're into the history of the horror genre at all, I would definitely give it a check out. The last book I have for you today is called The Invention of Sound by Chuck Palahniuk. So I reread this book, and I typically do not reread books. Usually it's just I'll read or I'll listen to it one time and then I'm done. I'm fine. I don't need to go back and revisit it. Very rarely do I do that. So Palahniuk is one of my favorite authors. Him and I don't know, Neil Gaiman too. I really like. But anyway, it's brilliantly written yet again. It's morbid, but it also has just a fantastic sense of humor behind it. It's about a man whose daughter disappeared years ago, likely was kidnapped, and he has dedicated his life to locating pedophiles on the dark webs. If you give this book a chance, like the opening scene of him in the airport had me dying. I was in tears because I was laughing so hard, and it's just awful. You don't want to laugh at it, but it's just, that's basically sums up this entire book. Like I guarantee that if you're into that sort of like dark sense of humor kind of shit, you'll be into this book. He eventually crosses paths with a younger woman who is famous in the music. She's famous in the movie industry because she creates sound effects. There's a word for it, and I don't know what it is, and I forgot to look it up before I started filming this. Am I gonna stop filming and look it up? No, I'm not. You will have to do that yourselves if you want to know what the word is. But there's a word for creating sound effects for movies, and she is very famous for doing that thing. She's the best in the business. Anyway, she might have a connection to his missing daughter. And that's all I really want to say about it. I really think that people should read this if they haven't already. I would definitely recommend it. I would probably recommend any Palahniuk book. I don't think I've read one that I didn't like. So, Fight Club. Go check it out. Anyway, that's about the size of it. Those are the books that stand out to me that I have read throughout the year, or in the month of December for the boring ones. I don't know. I will have to do a breakdown of something. I'm reading one right now that I think I will do a breakdown of for the next video. It's a very short read and it's pretty intense, so I think I'm gonna try and go for that one next. So I'd like to surprise you guys with it. Anyway, that's the end. Thank you for watching if you did. Bye! Happy New Year! Merry Christmas!